Dear friends, let us look at this enigma of LV non-compaction. Now, this was a very old study, which was a post-mortem study, which showed that even in normal hearts, almost 3 to 4% of the normal hearts have more than 4 to 5 prominent trabeculations. Now, the diagnosis of LV non-compaction is described as numerous prominent trabeculation with deep intratrabecular recesses. Echo remains the mainstay of first diagnosis. Now, there are certain criteria. Now, this is the Cheney's criteria, where the heart is looked as a bilayered structure and the ratio of the non-compacted myocardium to the compacted myocardium should be more than 2 in end systole. So this is how is the end systole, and this is the thickness of the non-compact myocardium, and this is the thickness of the compact myocardium, and you take the ratio. Now, also the Jennings criteria describe that the blood flow in the recesses should come from the LV cavity and not from the coronaries. So this is how it looks, that the blood flow is going from the cavity into the trabeculations and not from this coronary. There is this Cheney's criteria, where again you look at the LV as a bilayered structure, but now in diastole. Then you take the thickness of the compact myocardium, call it X, and then they take the entire thickness of both compact and non-compact myocardium and call it as Y. And the X to Y ratio should be less than 0.5. So this is how you take the X, and this is how you take the Y measurement. So if we look at this M mode of a non-compaction, the Cheney's criteria, which is taken as end systole, has a higher specificity, while Chin's criteria, which is taken at end diastole, has a higher sensitivity. The Storr-Bulger's criteria prescribe that you look at least 4 prominent trabeculation distal to the papillary muscle. Now, what is the reproducibility? Now, this is a study where two blinded reviewers reviewed the cases which were diagnosed as left ventricular non-compaction, and they agreed only at 67% of the patients. The agreement was worst for the Stolberger criteria, while it was little better for the Jennings criteria, especially in the patients who did not have congenital heart disease. Now, this is a very interesting British study where they looked at their patient pool of LV non-compaction cardiomyopathy. And what they found that 78% of the patients satisfied Chin criteria, while 64% of the patients satisfied Jennings criteria, while 53% of the patients satisfied Stolberger criteria. But all the three criteria were satisfied by only 30% of the patients. And either Jenny or either Chin or either Stolberger criteria was diagnosed by 36% of the patient. But more interestingly, the athletes who were of Afro-Caribbean origin, 8.3% of the patients were actually not patients, but they were the athletes who satisfied at least one or the two criteria of non-compaction. So remember, whenever there is a mechanical overload, you may get an LVNC phenotype. So 25% of the pregnant patients, 0.9% of the athletes, and patients with sickle cell anemia may show LV non-compaction type of a phenotype. There are different types of non-compactions according to their clinical presentation. It can be just an isolated LV non-compaction. It can be hypertrophic cardiomyopathy like non-compaction, or restrictive cardiomyopathy like non-compaction, or dilated cardiomyopathy like non-compaction, or sometimes even an arrhythmogenic cardiomyopathy type of a non-compaction. There are different morphologies of non-compaction. Now, this is something called as spongy type of LV non-compaction. This is called as a meshwork type of LV non-compaction, and this is called as coarse trabeculation type of non-compaction. Now, almost 20% of the patients will show a spongy type of non-compaction. Around 48% of the patients will show meshwork type of non-compaction, and around 30% of the patient will show coarse trabeculation type of non-compaction. Now, depending upon this morphology, they will get diagnosed by different criterias. So performance of Chin's criteria is all good even for these three different types of LV non-compaction, as is shown by this white pie. While for the Gini's criteria, actually spongy type of myocardium morphology is good for getting larger number of patients getting diagnosed by using Gini criteria. While for Stolberger's criteria, the performance is very poor when the LV non-compaction is spongy, while the performance is good when it is coarse trabeculation. LV opacification contrast is very good to diagnose non-compaction because it can show you the flow into the intertrabecular recesses. It can show you the compact myocardium, and it can also diagnose any clot inside this non-compacted myocardium. 3D views can give you an NFES view of the hypertrabeculation, and it can give you a precise short axis view to measure the non-compact and compact myocardium. But more benefit of 3D echocardiography is measuring the volume of non-compaction. According to this study, the authors first measured the volume subtended by the compact myocardium, and then they measured the 3D volume subtended by the endocardium. When subtracting these two volumes will give us the non-compaction volume. And they found that a non-compaction volume of 12% of total volume, or in real terms 15 ml or more of non-compaction volume, had a very high sensitivity and specificity in diagnosing LV non-compaction. Now, there are certain differences between dilated cardiomyopathy and LV non-compaction. The non-compacted cardiomyopathies have smaller left atriums as compared to dilated cardiomyopathies. Both the cardiomyopathies have very spherical left ventricle, but the volumes of non-compacted LVs is smaller as compared to dilated cardiomyopathies. And so also the myocardial thickness is more in non-compaction as compared to dilated cardiomyopathy. Then there is a curious phenomenon of rigid body rotation. As we know that the apex rotates anti-clockwise while the base of the heart rotates clockwise. However, this relation is lost in LV non-compaction because the helical fibers are not well developed. So therefore, both the LV apex and the base rotate in the same direction like a rigid body. So in the non-compaction, 40% of the patients show both the apex and the base rotating first counterclockwise and then clockwise, while in 30% of the patient, both apex and base rotate only clockwise, while 6% of the patient, both apex and base rotate counterclockwise, and then the remaining few, both of them move in either direction. So this rigid body rotation is very specific for non-compaction because the helical fibers are not well developed in a non-compacted myocardium. CMR has got a very high signal to noise ratio, so it can show the non-compaction very well. However, the criteria are different. The ratio of non-compact to compact myocardium cutoff is 2.3, unlike 2 in echocardiography. On the MRI, one can also measure the trabeculated LV mass, and the cutoff is 20% for having a high sensitivity and specificity in diagnosing LV non-compaction by cardiac MRI. So there are certain tips and tricks for the echocardiographer. First, you search for a bilayered myocardium, that is compact and non-compact myocardium in long axis, and especially concentrate over the apex and the lateral or inferior wall or the posterior wall. And then take a perfect short axis perpendicular to the long axis from base to apex, and then identify the non-compacted myocardium, especially at the apex, and especially at the inferolateral wall, and then do the measurements using a good amount of using a good image. Thank you.